I'm just going to record this since I'm having Wi-Fi problems here at the hostel. But everyone, I'm the Panda photographer. Let's talk about the Canon R5 and R6 overheating issues once again. Now, there's been some comments left on the last video that was cut off due to my GoPro failing and overheating. Apparently, ironic, isn't it? But I'm the Panda photographer, guys. Just subscribe, like, and share, and support the channel if you can. But let's talk about the overheating issues. A lot of people stated that one comment recently was, "I haven't worked on a professional set before," which that's not true. And from my experience, I haven't seen anyone shot a scene no more than 10 minutes. Let's be realistic. All right. Now, when it comes down to weddings, now I know a lot of you photographers are asking this very same question. What if you're a wedding photographer and videographer and you need to use this camera? Let me suggest not buying it because it's $4,000. You can go online, you can buy a C200 for that price and get adequate footage. Now, does a client have to have 8K? Are you presenting 8K to your client? Are you charging extra for 8K? That's the question. So in reality, a lot of wedding videographers are not going to continue to use this camera unless, if you're a photographer, there's no issues with it. And I think this is why there is a mix of controversy about the cameras overheating. Now, Canon did address this issue right away, unlike some other brands that took forever to release a firmware update after, well, technically it was two firmware updates to actually address the overheating issue, but I digress. But the purpose was to give you guys insight. There's no such thing as a perfect camera. You guys are making a big fuss over the internet for something. Some people are actually making content just to make revenue, just to cheat the system on YouTube, because they don't have anything exciting to say or motivating to say. The camera is great, so give Canon a chance. As a hype shooter that shoots with multiple different brands of cameras, hear me out. As a Panda photographer, take this with a grain of salt. A lot of you had disagreed with the first video, and I hear you on that one. But not everyone has the exact same experience as you, or that's if you do have the experience, because there's some people online that pretend to have the experience just to chat, just to give their 2 cents. And I feel like that's not the right approach. The right approach is be honest about your comments and your replies, because it makes sense to other videographers and photographers what these two cameras are made for and who they made for. Yes, they are made for the professional. If you're a photographer, you won't even have any issues with overheating because you're just going to be taking pictures. Now, video, on the other hand, like I said, with weddings, shooting scenes for 10 minutes long, I never been on a scene shooting 10 minutes long. And if you guys sat, let me explain. If you sat in this chair or your chair for 10 minutes, think of how long and how large those files are going to be. No client is going to want 8K unless you're doing commercializing. For like Nike, Adidas, Columbia, or North Face. Those will pay the big bucks for 8K. But a wedding client, regular clients are not going to pay for 8K, so why are you even stressing the fact that like 10 minutes is just like, it's too long for a cool down just to shoot again, or 10-minute recording time, or 20-minute recording time? But like I said, 10 minutes is pretty much enough for a lot of things. I can get this video done in 10 minutes if I wanted to. Alright, for the wedding photographer, to address the Canon R5 and R6 concerns of overheating, this is my belief, so take this with a grain of salt. If you're doing any weddings, exceptions, any recording more than 10 minutes, listen, it is best that you do not shoot in 8K, but you can shoot in 4K. It has that ability for you to get enough time to shoot your weddings or your ceremonies at the time. Most of the time, ceremonies take about 20 to 30 minutes. Depends on the wedding, depends on how many speeches and what's going on, what's taking place. So I do not recommend the camera. If you're going to buy this for 8K and you think you're going to represent it to your clients 8K, you have to let your clients know that you're going to have to charge a lot more extra for 8K. And it's best to keep your clients by shooting 4K, get a clean output. Therefore, you don't have to worry about some of the overheated issues with the camera. I think it works best in 4K than 8K. So take this with a grain of salt. But for wedding videographers, I hear you, I understand, but if you're going to be shooting weddings, this is probably not the camera to do it. So you can shoot B-roll with it, but I don't recommend shooting a whole wedding with it because you're gonna run into weighting problems. You're gonna run into overheating problems. And as I'm trying to say in this video, that to me the overheat is not an issue because we human beings are trying to develop cameras for Canon, and a lot of us photographers sit there and whine and cry about this when we're not engineers ourselves and we have no idea how to build or design or manufacture a camera. So take this with a grain of salt. And still make it under the overheating requirement time limit. But it's early in the morning. It's Saturday. I had to make the video because I saw the comments and I said, you know what? Let's try to do this over. Let's try to fix this issue. Let's try to address it a little bit better this time. I'm going to record this time instead of relying on the GoPro that overheated while making that live stream. But mind you, I just wanted to let you guys know that, like, listen, you guys are taking this way out of proportion. Let me ask you a very important question. Are you the engineers behind making the camera? Have you have any experience trying to develop a camera that can shoot 4K? Do you have any engineering or any training whatsoever? Have you had a job at any camera manufacturer built-in or assembling cameras? 90% of you do not. So why would you make the fuss? And like I said in my first video, I made that mistake nitpicking at Nikon for bringing out new cameras with old technology. And yeah, it bothered me, like the Canon 80D, that it's still using a proprietary USB Type B, which is that small USB plug. Yeah, and it's still pumping out 1080p, 60 and 30 frames a second on this live stream. Still pretty good. But still, the fact was that you guys were just making a big fuss over overheated issues. Some of you guys are making money off of this on YouTube, which is kind of, and in the sense, I think it's wrong that you clickbait a lot of people for your amusement just to get views for overheating. And we and other photographers like myself are just trying to, share and emphasize a few things that the camera's not going to be made for everyone. $4,000 is a lot to spend on a camera body for first and foremost. Two, not a lot of filmmakers are going to be using this camera or rely on it because of the overheating issue, and they're better off with a C200 or C300. It depends on if you're a Canon shooter, you want a cinema camera, you go for those cameras. That's the cameras you will buy if you want to shoot weddings and gorgeous weddings. That's just my take. If you don't like shooting with, and you want to shoot 8K and you think your client's going to pay extra for 8K, that's fine. Do whatever you want, but let your client know and be truthful to your client that this 8K files might take longer, because if you do not have the computer processing power to render these files, which they are very large, then that's another issue you got to invest in: software and hardware and buying a new laptop, or maybe you have to upgrade your desktop. See, those are the problems that no one talks about, I believe. And I think that when you buy a camera, you also have to modify your other gear, because now you got to say, oh, can my computer support these files? Can it play back smoothly? That's the whole point here. But with that said, everyone, I don't want to go too long with this. I just wanted to clear things up. As a window photographer, you can shoot with this, but that would be at your risk because you know the consequences when overheating after 10 minutes of recording. I will not recommend it. I would go with something that's C200, C300. Instead, spend my money where my money can actually make its. I can make my money back in no time with a C200, C300. With the R6 or R5, that will be a hit and miss because now you have to deal with the overheated issue. But like I said, it's not a big deal if you're not really shooting no more than 10 minutes a scene. So, with that said, everyone, yeah, this is Panda. Please subscribe, like, and share. If you do like the content, support the channel. The affiliate links, PayPal links down in the description below. I really need your help, guys. So with that said, everyone, you guys take care of yourself and stay out of trouble. Alright? Eat, sleep, photography, videography, and repeat. And I will speak to you guys in the next video. Guys, take care. Happy shooting.